you can and you're running with kings. But how far could you go if you run with the wind? And the chances you take are what give you wings, and you can fly.
Welcome back to Consider Civility. I'm Lou Bayer, and I'm interviewing Kent Roberts with the National Civility Center. Kent Roberts has a long history in the world of civility and community, some civility in sports, civility in the public square, and of course, co-founding the Civility Center. And so today we're going to talk to him a little bit about civics. And this is a topic that I know, and Kent can tell you all a little bit about his background, but I know that this is a topic that is close to Kent's heart. Kent, we're wondering if you can give us your perspective on whether or not civics, which we don't teach too much anymore, at least in Canada where I'm from, civics and citizenship, are those topics that you think are of value for elementary or middle school children to learn? And if so, why?
They're valuable for everybody, any age. I'm an old civics teacher as well as an old wrestling coach. So I spent most of my classroom time teaching civics. So as I began my classes, one of the first things that I would do was really ask the question you're asking. Why civics? And when you think back at the beginning of when man actually was on this earth, when they may be living in trees or caves or wherever they were, somewhere along the line, they decided that to stay safe and to live a better life, they needed to come down from their caves or hills or trees or what have you and form some form of community. And so there's a reason for that. It was a law of survival that people actually joined together, and they found out that they could have a better quality of life and they could do more together than separately by living as separate families of people. So it's a natural thing. It's not just something that we just wanted to make up and just do. And so as we would band together and began to live with one another in a community of people, however that was defined, around a fire or what have you, we had to develop a level of rules or understandings or common things that we agreed to so that we could live together peacefully. And it takes away, when you join a village or join a community, you lose a little individuality, but what you gain from that is far more valuable than just that little bit of individuality you have to give up. So as we learn to work together, as we learn to follow rules together, it's not like we hop on a highway and decide, I think I'm going to drive on the left side of the road today, or tomorrow I might decide to I don't know if I'll stop at the stop sign or not. We have all these contracts that we agree with one another so that we keep each other safe and allow ourselves to, we don't walk down the street and says, I like that house, I think I'm going to live there, and walk up and say, leave. These are things that we have to learn to do. And civics, just the natural meaning of getting along and being a citizen of society, what does it mean? And all the rules that go with it, because we just can't have law of the jungle out there living in today's world. So as that progressed over the years and we formed country states or city states and everything progressed, we really had to learn a lot more of the integration of thought and ideas, and it became a lot more complex. And we had to learn to do that. So we have to teach our youngsters and other people why we need to get along and how we need to get along and where we can be independent and free. And also the difference between living in a free society where we have more individual freedom or we live in a totalitarian society where people pretty much tell us what to do, and it's not so much filled with individual freedom, but it's a very strict sense of law and order. So I think that being able to know who we are and what we are and why we do things is really important. And the integration of all these ideas, how we weave in what it takes to be citizens of today's communities, and of certain states and countries and so on. So civics is something that is part of today's world, and I think that we can all see what would happen with chaos if we didn't have rules and ideas and civility.
All right. And so, as part of that, the whole concept of citizenship and civics, then, do you think there is value in promoting volunteerism or requiring volunteer work in the community as part of those training programs? Do you feel that that's something that fosters generosity of spirit and, facilitates understanding of the human condition and so forth? What do you feel about volunteering?
Well, I think that enhances quality of life on so many different levels. But I think people need to understand the why. I mean, a lot of times people think, well, I'm just going to, it took me a long time to realize at Christmas, it truly was better to give than receive. And that has to be learned. And when you find ways and platforms that allow people to give and give of themselves, it enhances that person's quality of life. Plus, it adds value to the entire community. It's not something that you're doing just to be altruistic and out there trying to help others because they have less than you. It's a two-way street. There's a lot of things that are involved with that. And finding ways in which we allow people to give. I wrote a book called Bring a Dish to Pass. And if you really want to engage somebody, allow them to give. Don't just be always giving to them, allow them to give of themselves or what they may have. And when they feel that they are of value and they can give something, they're more apt to listen, be a part of, and engage with.
Excellent. Thank you. That's great advice and very good insight from Kent Roberts, co-founder of the Civility Center. And Kent, for those of you who are interested in contacting him for presentations or consultations, you can send an email to events@civilityexperts.com and we'll put you in touch with him. And we can also get you a PDF copy of one of his books, if that's helpful for you. We're happy to provide. You can learn a little bit more about the Civility Center, civilitycenter.org. Thank you, Kent. We'll talk to you again soon.
The reason why each of us comes to this earth, and your actions will always speak louder than words, and you'll never know what you're capable of until you try.